Hello everyone, how are you? Today we're going to finish up our 2CP map analysis. We did Hanamura already as well as Temple of Anubis, and today we're finishing off with good old Volskaya Industries. As with the other two maps like it, Volskaya Industries is a very technical map that requires some pretty crisp, clean execution and a big understanding of what's going on, especially on attack, or else you just sort of stall out. I intentionally did Hanamura before this because I want to point out now that it's pretty much the same map. This is literally Hanamura, except like updated and better. You have the same entry choke point window. You go on the left side, up, around. You have the gate where the defenders come in through spawn. And then you have this side, up, around. Again, you have another sort of high ground there. And instead of the middle pit of doom for anyone standing here, they turn this into a building. It's kind of cool. This is basically the same map on the first point, at least. But of course, there are plenty of neat little additions and other interesting things. Volskaya is one of the more complex, sort of convoluted 2CP maps, so we will definitely get into it. Though all the strats I went over on my Hanamura video also work on this map. Also, you see that the choke point is divided into these two sections by the truck, so it's not quite it's not quite one big gateway, but more like two doors that are sort of conjoined twins. So anyway, let's get into all the main attack routes. So this is the primary gate most of your team is going to be coming through, and we have 4 real directions to go. Unlike Hanamura, these middle paths are not just objectively terrible in all circumstances, but this one is probably the weakest path, and we can take this out initially, because if you're here, you're out in the open, you can be shot from that high ground, you can be shot from this high ground. The defenders can take all this nice juicy cover, all these nice areas over here, shoot you from this cover, so you're a little bit in danger when you're in this wide open area, and there's no real point to go through here. This way, however, is not bad if you especially have a rush-in team with lots of really close range sort of stuff. You just want to go straight onto the point. You have this cover that you can use to progress upwards. There's this high ground up here, but it's pretty easily accessible. You can just run right up the stairs up into this area if people are shooting you from that high ground, and take them out quite easily, drop down. Plus you have access immediately to this large health pack. So there's quite a few advantages of actually going through this path if you're one of those scrappier brawling teams and you have a Lucio or something you just want to get right onto point right immediately. Don't worry about anything. Then you have the 2 side paths. These are very similar to the side paths on Hanamura. They both have their own strengths and weaknesses. You have this path, which gives you more overall map control because you have these nice windows here. You can come in, there's more range to this high ground, as in there's more places you can stand as opposed to just this little island right over there. You can stand either here, you can stand in those windows. Plus, again, you have access to this large health pack anytime you want. You can clearly see you have much more of the map to control than if you come in this direction and you're just kind of chilling right there. The downside being it's more difficult to push. You can see that, well, by the way the truck is angled, the defenders have more room where they're exposed over here. There's no cover over here. Whereas this is a very narrow area. The defenders have lots of cover here, lots of cover here. They can be using this high ground up here to block you off. So if we're not just running in with Lucio and taking a straight up brawl, it is harder to just kind of sneak through here if you just want to walk by. Plus, you do have access to this window on this side, on this left side from our perspective, but this window is much, much weaker than the window on Hanamura because it doesn't actually enter into any high ground. It doesn't really have much function at all. It's just a little side accessory for your Genji or something to kind of play around with. But overall, this window on Volskaya is not going to give you too much additional utility pushing through here. You can see it doesn't do much. Going through here, however, you can see how going through all of this without cover might be rough. But if we go into this door, it's quite simple because usually the defenders are standing over here because there's so much cover. They're not going to be standing wide out in the open. So you can just sort of slip by into this room with not much problem. Plus, something I haven't gone over yet that I'm sure is on everyone's mind is this little back passage. So this path directly supports the right side push, not the left side. If you're in the left side, this is not going to help you. But if you go right side, you can see that this entrance directly supports that. And you can surely see how this is a much, much stronger flanking route just in every way than this little window over here. It's completely night and day. So if I were to label these 3 paths something, I would call this the Brawler Route, where you're just going with a bunch of tanks and Lucio and you just force your way through. This is the safe route. I would just call this default, where pretty much any team can take this path and be fine, go through here, in here, and then out this high ground. That's essentially free, as I'll go over in just a second. And then this is the more dangerous path. This is still very doable. If they give this to you, then you should definitely take this. If the enemy team is just sort of playing back, playing off of that, or if they're even standing all the way up here, if they're standing on this side at all, you should definitely come up, take this. You can then take this entire part of the map. You can take this large health pack, but not something you can force. You can't plan on this because this is easily shut down, like I explained before. An issue that a lot of teams have with this push is they come in the door and then they get choked out here because the defending team will come and respond and there's no way to get out really. That's what this side passageway is for back there. Because then if your team comes in here and the enemy team comes up and tries to choke you out, then this flanker comes and sandwiches them. So now you are hitting them from both sides. So the end result of this map is either you push through here and attack from the high ground and the defenders have this, or you push through here and you attack from the high ground and the defenders have this, or you just go through with some sort of brawling team, try to get a pick, and try to just take this through pure aggression and speed. If I were to pick one strongest path for ranked specifically, it would be this one, because it's the easiest to do. There isn't much coordination. Just pick a really brawly sort of divey comp, come in and try to kill people. This path is the hardest to take, and this path would be kind of somewhere in the middle. All right, so how do we defend this? Because of this back path here that the attackers can take, the defenders can never really sit up here, because no matter what, all it takes is a single tracer to go and beep, 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 take the point, and now everyone has to get back, and now it's a little bit awkward. So unfortunately, the way the Volskaya is designed, the defenders can't defend up here. The furthest back, or the closest up rather, they can defend is in this sort of area, because you can still check out the point, but you're also close enough to defend, the choke if you really want to. And this spot is really not bad at all. You can have someone staying on the roof, you have cover, you have cover, you have cover. You can even have someone up here as well if you really want to. Someone standing at this corner, maybe even the building. So there's lots of great places for the defenders to stand. It stops this push, or potentially, it's just going to turn into a brawl, right? Stops that push. It stops this push. The only thing you then have to worry about is this one. If they do wind up coming up here, then your guy on the roof can come hide behind this piece of cover here. You can see actually if I go through perspective, you can see that that's some nice cover you can use to put pressure. You can have your player in the room or up here can just come and rotate to this high ground. And then the players on the ground can come in this direction. You can have your Reinhardt stand on the corner of the point. You can take the hut, the small health pack there. You can take over the large health pack here. So the defenders are in a pretty decent position. And in fact, I would call this pretty much the default setup with the defenders here. The attackers come and they do this thing up there. And then it just turns into, who rotates better, who can just have the better individual play. It's also by far the easiest defense to coordinate in ranked because pretty much everyone just sits in their places and does their own thing and there really isn't any teamwork required. We have 2 other viable spots though. We have up here. This one used to be popular. I used to see teams run this all the time, but I never really liked it and people kind of stopped running it too because it is high ground, but the problem is you give the other team this entire area of the map. You give them the large health pack. You kind of give them a little bit stronger of a position on the small health pack and hut, and there really is no benefit of it. Plus, you have the attackers can do this side flank around behind you, so that's not very good. I don't like that at all. The other viable option is to hold up here. Now, this one is pretty strong. You'll see this in pro matches as well. It takes a bit more coordination because your team is a little bit split up. You have all these different places your team can be at a time. And so it's easy for someone to kind of get picked off. Overall, I don't think that either one of these is stronger than the other. This one is better for long range, and this one is better for short range. In general, your team comp. If you were to have to choose one, that's how I would choose. But that's it for point A. Moving on, point B, because we don't have much time, and I want to get through this quick, and Volskaya is quite the map. Point B is probably one of the most complex areas of any map in the game, and surprisingly, a lot of it is underutilized, so I think this is going to be very interesting. Overall, there's quite a few entrances, actually. There's this entrance that no one literally ever uses, that you can, I mean, this is not hero specific, you can just take your entire team across this if you want. That's the left side entrance. Of course, you have this middle entrance, you have the right side entrance, and then you have a flanking route that, again, many heroes can access, because even weird heroes like Soldier, who can just jump a little bit higher, can come around and flank like that. So if we draw out the 3 basic attack paths from this direction, we can, again, let's rule out the ones that we don't like right off the bat. Well, it's this one. And this is the one that everyone uses. So this one's very rare, but people kind of use this one sometimes. Some people never use this one. But in ranked play, this just straight down the center, this is the one people use. And there's no wonder people have huge trouble taking point B on Volskaya, because you come through and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful, the symmetry of all the arrows from either side that people can shoot you from. And it's kind of like Hanamura, where you just die when you push mid. There's a bit of variation, though. You can like go this way, or you can kind of go this way if you want. That's a little bit different. We'll go over that later. But I'm just talking about this just go straight down the tracks, down the center. That is going to give you kind of a bad time. If you just want to push down the center, you're much better off coming in this direction. The enemy can't see you until you're basically directly on the point. You literally come out onto the point. So how do we push this? It can be a bit difficult. People get a little bit scared because of this choke point, but it isn't really a problem, because in order to choke you out of this area, the other team has to be standing here. But that's okay, because you have access to this high ground. You can have someone peeking from this direction. You can even have someone, I mean, if they're here, you can easily just come around here or come around here to flank them from behind. And of course, your main body of your team will be coming through there. So this is a great fight for you. This is by no means defender favorite. If they come all the way out here to try to choke you out in this hallway, that's definitely favors the attacker. Plus, you have access to all sorts of nice tools like this large health pack as you push up. Plus, any flanking hero you have has access to this back area. So this is very attacker favored. If the defenders actually come out to try to fight you, they should just be staying on the point. So there are no downsides to this side path as opposed to this middle path, except for it's all just positive. So this is really the default. The default attack path of Volskaya Industry should be on the side here, just coming through. And this is by far the easiest to pull off in ranked as well, because there's no special teamwork. You just push through, maybe have a soldier or something up here, maybe have a Widowmaker, and people just do that anyway, just individual sort of plays like that, push up and have your team fight. Of course, if you utilize this side path, it can be much more than that. You can come up here, you can come up here. Also, with a Lucio speed boost, any hero can make this jump, so you can actually come through here. You can have high ground advantage, come up there. You can have someone coming from behind there. So this is actually quite a strong push. There's nothing wrong with this push. It's pretty even for both sides. Usually there's like a line where the defenders are fighting in this direction and the attackers are fighting in this direction, and it's just the best man wins. The alternative path, of course, the left side, can be accomplished in 2 ways. Either you can just straight up walk there, which is a little bit dangerous because you're showing yourself, obviously. You have to walk through there without dying. They can clearly see what you're doing, and I don't like that so much. Instead, you can just hop on here. You can just take the entire team, take the whole family for a ride down to Disneyland. Here we go, and here. We're right here. Now we have all this space to do whatever you want on the left side of the map. But once you're there, attacking from this area is more difficult to coordinate than attacking from this area, because there's many more, there's more rooms, more windows, more ways your team can get split up. But for a coordinated team or an organized team, this side I think is actually the strongest, because you can come out from anywhere. You can come out from this window. You have full access. Of course, this is the main pathway. But then you can even push through here. You have full access to this, full access to this. And so if you look at these arrows, because you know how we love our arrows, these arrows can get quite scary for the defenders. Pretty much this entire thing is all 100% belonging to the attackers, and the defenders really have to hold, like hard hold back here. And then of course they're still not safe because that doesn't stop you from flanking around there or hopping over there and using this high ground. So really the attackers just have so many tools on the second point of Volskaya. Like the attackers control all of this and all of this, and the defenders don't have too much. It's just difficult to coordinate because there are so many options. The teams oftentimes just like, whatever, screw it, we'll just go attack, you know. So on Volskaya, I do definitely recommend that you experiment with all of these. Lots of different things, especially if you play a flanker. Try all these side flanks. There's just so many options. There's no need for you to just go straight down the center every single time. So as a defender, what can we do about it? Well, I already explained that it's a little bit rough because if we stand all the way up here to try to choke these two areas out, we just get overwhelmed by all the high ground, all the places we can be attacked from. So we have to take a little bit of a step back and see, well, standing in the middle of the point is not so good either. You definitely have to be careful because it's very easy for one of your heroes to get isolated in one of these little rooms and killed and picked off. One of the strongest rooms for the defenders is this room right here because it's unflankable. You know, someone standing looking at the point can't be taken from behind. Literally every other place in the entire map has a flank route behind it. This room does not. So if you're playing Anna, if you're playing McCree Soldier, anybody who wants to take that side high ground-ish area, this is the room for you. And so given that, the defense should just be standing in this general area behind and really just paying attention to this area. That's very important. But in general, the safest place with the least number of flank routes is right here. You just have to worry about this back place because if you stand, you know, here, for example, well, there's a lot of flank routes then. You have someone come from the high ground, you can have someone come from behind, you can have someone come from here, all the way around. So ideally, have someone staying up here in the strong spot, have your Reinhardt or something be shielding here, a bunch of heroes here with with at least one support having their eyes towards the flanking route, someone, you know, in this general area. So this is pretty much where the defenders have to hold. Volskaya doesn't have really any big tricks, but mostly just like really small hero-specific optimizations. Like Tracer, for example, she doesn't have to use that blink. She can just walk straight across it. This is only Tracer, by the way. No other hero can just walk across it like that. Also, sometimes the other team will metagame you and try to put a Mei over here or something to stop you. And certain flankers like Pharah and Diva, when they come over here, they actually have an alternate path up around the roof that they can take to avoid any sort of, you know, like maze walling you off to let you fall in the water. You can kind of abuse the fact that sprays are only one-sided to limit vision through this window on the first point for the attackers, because as a defender you can see through it, but the attackers, they can't. And so if you have like one of those obnoxious square sprays that take up the entire space, and that works very well. Lucio's speed boost is more powerful than normal on Volskaya Industries because it enables a couple very important jumps. For example, it allows any hero to clear this jump, which is very important. Notice without the speed, you can't make it. It also allows any hero to jump from this truck up onto the roof, something again that you normally can't do without it. Also, if you want to flank around this left side with a flanker, and you for some reason are too cool to go through the normal way, you can also go through the super secret special way on the side. But anyway guys, that's Volskaya Industries. Let me know if you have any super special tech and tricks that I didn't mention, or any other cool strategies that you think that people should try out. Let me know what you thought and what you want to see next, because we're done with 2CP, so I need to know what map to do next. I know that Numbani is kind of a popular one. Or I might just do a general 2CP overview strategy on like how to play 2CP maps in general next week, just to wrap up the 2CP block. But I think that's all I have to say. So if that's it, don't forget to stay positive and have a great day. Peace out, guys.